In our remaining moments, I want to talk about the 2008 campaign. Now, you've said, you haven't ruled anything out, but you said you're not going to go work for another candidate. But you also said that you're an opinionated guy. And some of those opinions came flowing out this week, including your conversation with Rush Limbaugh this week about Senator Hillary Clinton. Watch.
I think she's likely to be the nominee, and I think she's fatally flawed. Fatally flawed how?
She enters the general election campaign with the highest negatives of any candidate in the history of the Gallup poll.
The president has much higher negatives than she, however.
She enters the presidential contest with higher negatives. The only person who come close is hers there at 49. The only other candidate to come close was Al Gore with 34, I believe.
And how does that hurt her?
Well, it just says people have made an opinion about her. It's hard to change opinions once you've been a high-profile person in the public eye, as she has for 16 or 17 years.
There are prominent Republicans, yourself included, who seem to be really talking Hillary Clinton up as a kind of inevitable nominee. Is that who Republicans want?
I'm just responding to questions from journalists. Don't ask me. Don't blame it on me. It's you guys' fault.
Well, but you're not the only Republican who has said that she is the inevitable nominee. Is there a desire by the Republican Party for her to be the nominee? Is that who you want to run against?
It's going to be what it's going to be. Democrats are going to choose the Democratic nominee, and Republicans are going to choose a Republican nominee.
She responded this week in a campaign ad, not directly to that, but to attack the White House. And let's watch that.
And I never thought I would see that our soldiers who serve in Iraq and Afghanistan would be treated as though they were invisible as well. Americans from all walks of life across our country may be invisible to this president, but they're not invisible to me, and they won't be invisible to the next president of the United States.
Reaction?
First of all, it's laughable that this president does not have a strong relationship with the military and military families. Most of the ad was devoted to health care, which really, to me, was a sign of defensiveness. She understands she's got a weakness on this. Hillary Clinton voted against providing seniors with a prescription drug benefit. Hillary Clinton voted against allowing people to save tax-free for their out-of-pocket medical expenses. Hillary Clinton voted against medical liability reform so that docs are not forced out of practices by junk lawsuits. She opposes leveling the playing field so that people who pay for health insurance out of their own pocket get the same tax break that big corporations get for providing health care benefits to their employees. She's against allowing people to shop for health insurance across state lines like we do with auto insurance so that consumers would have more choices and there'd be competition to get your business, give you more for less. She is a person who now, she was opposed to and voted against allowing seniors to have a choice of keeping their current doc and their current health care plan through a private form of Medicare, Medicare Advantage, and now she's voting for penalizing seniors who have those private health care plans through Medicare. This woman's got one idea on health care, which is to let the government do it all, and she's voted against all these very positive reforms which would allow the doctor and the patient to be in charge of health care.
Has Barack Obama measured up to the hype surrounding him?
You know what? I'm going to let you ask you. You've got an excellent panel coming on, I think, later in the program. Why don't you ask?
You haven't shied away from talking about Hillary Clinton.
I'm just going to let. I've said enough. I've got to save a little bit more.
Do you
for
really
later.
fear Barack Obama? That's why you're spending all of this time attacking Hillary Clinton?
I read that in the L.A. Times this morning. Those guys really out in L.A. have got to get clued in. I mean, come on.
Let me ask you quickly about the investigation into the firing of U.S. attorneys. You have defended the firing of those attorneys. You've done so publicly. Why not then testify about that under oath as Congress wants you to?
Yeah, look, here's the issue. There is a tension between Congress and the executive. Congress wants to be able to call, this Congress in particular, wants to be able to call presidential aides up at its whim and convenience and have them testify. That would have a chilling effect on the ability of a president to get candid, straightforward advice from his aides. We have a constitutional separation of powers. The founders talked about this. They understood this issue, and they wanted to insulate the judicial, the executive, and the legislative from each other in this respect. Imagine the outcry if the executive branch said, we have a right to pull up any congressional aide we want and ask you at any time what advice you're giving your member about a vote. Imagine the outcry in the country if we said Supreme Court clerks can be called before Congress or called before the executive at any time to talk about what they're advising the Supreme Court justices as they write their opinions. The counsel's office has made a very generous offer. If they want to find out what Harriet Miers and I said and did, we'd be happy to go up there and have a visit with them about it. But we would have an obligation. When we're sworn in as an officer inside the White House, a commissioned officer, we swear to uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution has a separation of powers. It should not, the Constitution should not be weakened, and we should not weaken the prerogatives of the power of the presidency just because somebody wants to have some kind of show hearing on the Hill. If they want to hear from me, the counsel's office had made a generous offer. They didn't take us up on it.
Before we let you go, if anybody questions whether politics has been in your blood for many, many years, they only have to go back to January 18th, 1972, when a much younger Karl Rove spoke about Richard Nixon. Watch.
Down in the basement of party headquarters is the operation aimed at embarrassing pundits who say Nixon doesn't appeal to youth. The people in charge here are from the 18 to 21-year-old bracket.
First of all, voter registration is probably the most important function that we are undertaking now. We're also seeking to train college students to run voter registration drives and to work towards involving young people in campaigns. You can't get a 35-year-old to teach the Republican Party how to get to young people, and just can't rely upon it. Young people have got to reach other young people, and that's what we're seeking to do.
Even then, you were telling the Republican Party how to get it done.
I had a lot of hair back then, didn't I? You know, notice, I want to correct it. Once again, the media's got it wrong. It was not the basement of the National Committee. It was the sub-basement. It was under the parking garage. It was a fun time.
Karl Rove, good luck. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.